Hey, what's up, everyone? So, this is Alex here. It's going to be the 84th opening that I'm going to be sharing with you, which is the Akihiro variation. So, Akihiro variation is a name of an opening that I actually created. So, it's not found in your common apps. So, this is one of his diagonal variation against the, cow to sailboat bat opening. So, I think this is something that I spotted him playing and I found it to be rather useful in a sense that it surprises your opponent, it limits options for black, makes it a little counterintuitive and challenging to play for black. And then basically the kind of flip side is to a slight reduce advantage. And then I think the follow up can be quite difficult if your opponent gets the moves right. So yeah, you definitely have to be well prepared for this. I recommend this for advanced players for white and above. So let's jump into the sequence. Basically, it starts with f5 to the diagonal, typical to this cow opening. And then over here, basically, this is a white variation against the black kind of diagonal cut across, which is the bat or cow bat opening. So over here, it's very common to find white players playing either c7 or c4 or f4. So something that is slightly more uncommon is c6. You seldom see this being played, so this kind of limits options for your opponent. So I think f7 is still fairly easy to grasp. Either f7 or d7 is likely for black to kind of attempt to regroup. d7 gives up an immediate cutback for white to f7, so unlikely for that to happen, even if your opponent, it's the first time seeing that opening. So I think f7 might be the most likely response, followed by white playing to g5. This is kind of an easy follow-up for white because simply you're just maintaining the center shape. Over here is just a mini white diagonal that you're establishing, and you're inviting black to cut so that you can potentially cut back into the center. So very intuitive for white over here. And if black were to say be able to identify c7 as the best move, then you notice that you're controlling this vertical line and this diagonal line. So over here, this is the best move for white. Just a diagonal cut, one disc cut. So basically, this leaves black's only option to the best move is at c4. So this is fairly counterintuitive in a sense that it's flipping three discs in two different directions, and at the same time, you're giving white an easy move to d7. So it's almost something that you probably wouldn't want to do. Potentially, black may choose to play h4, perhaps. But yeah, let's say if black were to play this and white jumps in, and black identifies d3, you then see that the general playout for white is actually quite simple. In fact, white still has quite a couple of options that are still positive. So I think one of the interesting things about Akihiro's openings, if you don't know Akihiro, he's actually Akihiro Takahashi from Japan. He's the reigning World Othello Champion since 2019. And of course, 2020 and 2021, there hasn't been any actual face-to-face on the board Othello Championships in the world due to the COVID situation, but hopefully there's going to be one in 2022. So yeah, basically this is fairly intuitive for white to kind of play on. So you can see white just needs to keep to the side. So I think it's quite a useful opening and variation against the bat opening, but typically you don't really see many players playing, the bat opening in general against the white diagonal cut to this opening. Most players play this, so I would say that this is a very useful variation to play against the bat, but it's not going to happen that often for you. It's just good to kind of keep in mind this variation. So probably one way to kind of think about it is that c7 is the best move because it's a diagonal cut, but instead of taking c7, you take the one within the four squares, the disc closest to it. So probably one way to remember it. So yeah, with that, I'll leave it to you to explore the opening, and hopefully this helps your game, especially if you're a diagonal player. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.